Good morning, students. Good morning, students. Today, I am going to recapitulate the third chapter of business studies, that is public, private, and global enterprises. Right? Public, private, and global enterprises. We have finished this chapter. I want to recapitulate this chapter. Introduction. Soma, student of class 11th, was reading a newspaper. There was the news item that government planned to disinvest its share in some PSUs. PSUs means public sector undertakings or public sector units, as they were incurring heavy losses. At the same time, it was written that some private companies and MNCs were earning so much amount of profit. Or Maruti Suzuki had joint venture of Maruti company and Suzuki company of Japan. So this entire paragraph is focusing on various forms of business organization in the public sector, right? First is department undertaking, then statutory corporation, then government companies, right? In the private sector, we have already discussed in our previous chapter. There were various forms of business organization in the private sector also, that were sole proprietorship, joint Hindu family business, cooperative society, joint stock company, and joint stock company, sole proprietorship, partnership, right? These were the forms which were covered in the private sector. In the public sector, three undertakings were there: department undertaking, statutory corporations, and government companies. These are the key points which are being covered here in these notes, right? I would be sending these notes to you in a form of PDF, right? Let us recapitulate our first public sector undertaking, that is departmental undertaking, right? Features. First feature of departmental undertaking was it is a part of government, central or state. Departmental undertaking is one of the form of government undertakings. Second, departmental undertaking comes under direct control of ministry. Like railways, we have railway minister. So railway minister is responsible for all the task which is being carried out in railways. Funds comes directly from government treasury. This was the third feature. This is the third feature of government treasury, which I had already discussed from NCERT also, that all the funds come from government treasury. Employees are government employees. These department undertakings employees are government employees. The rules which are applicable to government employees, audit and control of account, will be similar to that of government companies employees, right? I mean to say that in departmental undertaking, employees are considered as a government employees. They will get all the benefits which the government employees get in a government companies or government undertakings, right? Examples of department undertaking are railways, defense, post and telegraphs. We have railway department, defense department, post and telegraph department. They are known as departmental undertakings, right? These their audit and control is also done as if it's a government company, right? Then merits of departmental undertaking. What were the merits of departmental undertaking, which we had already discussed? First, effective control. Being a part of central or state ministry, it comes under direct control of ministry. There is effective control in this. Then public accountability. Any mishappening in these departments, then ministry is directly answerable to the public. You see, anything wrong if happened to railways, or anything wrong happened in the defense department, it will lead to Answerability by the ministry itself to the public. They are accountability means answerability. These departments are directly accountable to the public, right? Then demerits. What were the demerits? Lack of flexibility. Since each and everything has to be approved by the government only, it is a part of central or state government only, so there is lack of flexibility. There is rigidity and red tapeism in departmental undertaking, right? Then delay in decision making, right? Then there is delay in decision making or departmental undertaking. Since it is controlled by the government, they take time. File or any other project clearance will be formed, will be done only by following a chain, only by following a hierarchy. File will go from upper authority to the next upper authority and so on. So there is delay in decision making in these departmental undertaking. Is it clear? So merits were effective control, public accountability and suitability for national security. It is suitable for national security, right? Because government is elected by the people and they are accountable to the people. They will do the best for securing the lives of the people and securing our nation. So it is suitable for national security, right? And demerits were lack of flexibility and delay in decision making. Then what are the next demerits of departmental undertaking? Next demerit of departmental undertaking is red tapeism, right? Work has to be done in a particular manner, it cannot be changed. Then there is lots of political interference in departmental undertaking since it is headed by the ministry, so there is political interference in there. Then unable to take advantage of opportunities, being a narrow perspective about these undertakings, they are unable to take advantage of opportunities, right? Then second was, which here we had already studied, statutory corporation. They are created by special act of parliament. These are the organizations which come into existence only by the special act which is passed in the parliament, which contains their powers and functions. This special act, this special law contains their powers, their duties, their functioning, rules and regulation, etc., right? Then features of statutory corporation are, first feature is statutory corporation is fully owned by the government. This is also owned by the government. It is having a separate legal entity, means statutory corporation board is different from the statutory corporation. Its employees are not the government employees, means the rules and regulation, the benefits, the perquisites, the perks which are available to government employees are not applicable to employees of statutory corporation. Then board of directors are appointed by the government. In statutory corporation, the board of directors, who are the head of any enterprise, they are appointed by the government. Then it prepare its own budget and retain its earning which can be used for its business. They do not require any central budget. Statutory corporation can make their own budget, can retain its earnings and spend whenever required for running of these enterprises, right? Then profit is not the main motive of statutory corporation. For statutory corporation, profit is not the motive. It has public accountability and usually it is free from all type of interference, right? Then merits of statutory corporations: free from undesirable government. The government does not interfere in their financial matter since it is owned, run separately from the government. It is relatively free from red tapeism and can take quick decisions. These companies can take quick decisions, right? Its policies are subject to parliamentary control, which ensures protection of public interests. We can say that these enterprises also provide benefit to the public, so it is controlled by parliament. Parliamentary control is there. Then limitations. One of the limitation of statutory corporation was Statutory corporation actions are subject to many rules and regulation, that this we have studied. That government and political interference have always been there since it is formed by special act of parliament. Then political interference is also there, where there is dealing with the public. Corruption exists at larger level in these organizations. Then board of director may use their power and indulge in undesirable practices. Right? These were the limitations of statutory corporation. Then next was government company. Next was government company. What is the meaning of government company? Government company is that company in which not less than 51% of the paid up capital is held either by the central government or state government or both. Right? Subsidiary of government company is also considered as government company, means branch of government company is also considered as a government company. Examples are Hindustan Machine Tools HMT, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited BHEL, right? Then Steel Authority of India. These were the government companies. Then features of government companies: it is created by the Companies Act. It has separate entity from its members. You know from accountancy also that business is separate from the owner, so it is having a separate legal entity. Its employees are appointed according to the rules contained in MOA and AOA, that is Memorandum of Association and Articles of Association. It is exempted from accounting and audit rules and procedure. It obtains funds from government shareholding, private shareholding, and capital market. Means money is invested in them by the public. They issue share to the public or through private sources. Then merits of these enterprises were: it can be easily established, it is a separate legal entity, there is no undue departmental interference in working of the company, then it can curb unhealthy business practices by providing good quality products. Normally, since government, it is headed by the government company, they normally provides goods at very reasonable prices, by providing goods and services at reasonable prices. So these were the three types of public sector undertaking that we have discussed in the third chapter. We also discussed about changing role of public sector, how role of public sector has been changed after independence. Public sector was started to achieve following objective. What were these? Were the main objective of public sector: to speed up economic growth, to achieve more equitable distribution of income, to create infrastructure facility, and to develop all parts of the country equally. These were the main key features which were emphasized by the role of public sector. Then after new industrial policy, NIP, new industrial policy 1991 is introduced following the reforms in the public sector. The number of industry reserved for public sector was reduced from 17 to 3. Earlier, 17 industries were under direct control by the government. It has been reduced to 3 in new industrial policy 1991, and these 3 were atomic energy, arms, and rail transport. Right? These were 100% owned by the government. Then memorandum of understanding is signed between public sector and its administrative ministry, which defines its autonomy, means freedom, and the targets to be achieved. Then equity share of public sector are sold to private sector. Equity shares of the public sector were sold to the private sector. That is known as disinvestment. Then loss making public sector enterprises were being addressed by a board which is formulated by the government. Which kind of board is formulated by the government? That is BIFR, Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction. Then National Renewal Fund was created to retrain and redeploy retrenched labor. Since most of the public sector undertakings, either they are being closed down because they were very sick, or if they want to continue, they were continuing at huge losses. So that's why government has to shut it down. The government companies which come under public sector. For this and the labor which were working there earlier, for them a fund was established that is known as a National Renewal Fund to retrain and redeploy retrenched labor. Right? Then in this chapter, we have studied about, this was our last topic, changing role of public sector and new industrial policy 1991. Right? Then we have certain very short answer type questions. Name the type of public sector enterprises, name the organization which is considered as a part of government. You have to do these questions in your notebook, very short answer type questions. Right? Rest long answer type question, you can form a note, which I have already been told to you, that in the form of notes and questions which I had given to you earlier. Only you have to do these questions in notebook, very short answer type question and HOTS question, higher order thinking skill question, and higher order thinking skill question. You have to do this. Right? So this was how we have completed our third chapter, that is public, private and global enterprises.